Morning, fellow zombies. Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? Are we sleep screwed up and emotionally deprived, or are we emotionally screwed up and sleep deprived? I know I am both. You're a zombie out here. We were John C. Roseman, California. Eh? Okay, I had a little bit of sleep, not much. It is 12:56 in the morning, West Coast time. Thursday, the 27th of June, 2024. The we were John Z. And I already mentioned that thing already, so on that one. Social media on YouTube is replete. It is full of the algorithms still locking me into the political melodrama left and right. Speaking of melodrama, anybody figuring out what's happening tonight on CNN? Well, we got two old guys going to be knocking it out. One's already delusional and mentally ill, and the other one's the President of the United States. Well, I'm sorry, the other one's also mentally ill, was the President of the United States as well. And we got the back and forth going on a constant basis. That being said, there were other things that were happening in the news on the local scenery for other people, and for me, I have to check these things out because I think they're a little bit more interested in hearing about ego going crazy at this point. So, what happened? Try this one. Florida, Tampa. You got a crazy dentist out there. For years, he's been threatening people left and right. He's been sending letters to people of different positions, character, race, God knows what else, just flipping himself out. And he's supposed to be a retired dentist, or just a dentist, I think. We're really having a conniption fit. And one of the news reports I was watching, they were showing about records about the gentleman here, not having criminal history, but suffering through mental breakdown, depression, alcohol, anxiety, PTSD. The guy's going through mental hell, and yet he's going after people left and right. Did anybody get this guy under treatment, or did he ever feel that treatment wasn't for him? Now, me, I had said it before in many of my videos. I'll put it on record again. I had a long history, still do, about the medical establishment trying to use me as a damn guinea pig, or something like that, trying to heal me. They try to hurt me a great deal. I mean, it did save my ass when I had open heart surgery at the age of 4 years old, and I should be eternally grateful. No, let's just be not that way. Because anybody who doesn't put me under anesthesia just to get some staples out, I'm supposed to be a tough kid dealing with this thing. Started me right off hating the doctors in the first place. So every time I kept going to the doctor's office, I had the doctors yell at me for not being brave and being bold and just take the pain, just take the pain, just take the pain. We stab you. We stab you. Marianne, he's not doing this way. We're gonna send him over to the hospital again. Get him strapped down and get the blood drawn. Threatening me like that for a few years of my youth. And I'm supposed to take the pain all the time. Supposed to take the physical pain all the time. And I wondered how come I didn't cry. Well, because these guys would jump on my ass for crying. A little boy crying because he's in pain. I held the pain in because everyone expected me to. I had to be a brave boy for Mama, for the doctors, for everybody. Not for me. Jeez. I was getting psychologically screwed up that way. Losing people left and right, but I couldn't talk about it to anybody concerning about grieving. Couldn't even process it. Just had to keep living through life. No wonder I was developing anger issues during those days. So yeah, I got to talk about this stuff in my late adult life. But it doesn't come to a point where actually I had a one time. Uh, when was it? Back in '05. Born 22 decades ago. I almost came close of losing my lid, and being part of a police blotter and obit. Kid you not. Police blotter because I'd be doing some dastardly things. And obit because I wouldn't be talking with you right now if I was on it. Gotten to a point where I was going to be self-destructing on a major level, apparently. Well, I did get some kind of therapy afterwards, trying to put me into the right mode and right directions. I really didn't think I was going to be that much of a risk to anybody, but it turned out to be one. Maybe a long time ago I should have been locked up. Let's be honest. Sometimes there are certain things that a person would go through and not recover. At least not in the short term anyway. People would expect me to. But the long run, would I be expecting to go thermal again like I did a long time ago? God, I hope not. It scares the hell out of me. I like my freedom better. But I also not like hurting people in the first place. So I avoid people. I stay away. I don't go after anybody. I try not to voice that kind of opinion. Even when it comes down for political. It's I don't go targeting people saying, "All right, you're going to be doing this, and you're supporting this, and you're this," and go off the deep end. But this is what the Tampa guy was doing. He's already in jail. They're not giving him any bail. They already deemed this guy already a lunatic. But the thing is, what they hadn't done is put him through a psych eval. I mean, really put this guy through a psych eval to see what his major malfunction is. To see whether or not he's going to be competent to stand in court or not and understand what the hell he's been doing. I mean, sending letters to people left and right is one thing, but you're going to be threatening their lives and terrorizing the crap out of them? Is that legal? I don't think so. Yeah, not for this kid anyway. So that was one of the things that was catching my attention. The other one, Mexico's water crisis is slowly working its way through the corporate media to let people know that Mexico City is drying up literally. When they have to have water imported into the city in different sections over there, it's that bad. And I think I talked about this one a short time ago, and earlier within the past few weeks, because this story is still making the rounds, and it's important. It's part of the crisis that the city has been facing, but also part of the global crisis in the long term. When you have a city or cities, pluralistic, plural, losing water left and right, one way or another, drying it up, fresh water going up, seawater is increasing in levels, scary, isn't it? Because we're also adding fresh water into the bases, which is also disturbing the environmental factors we have in the ocean on how life can sustain itself. Life forms that actually deal with salt water and mineral content and certain temperature levels are effectively increased. They're being affected a great deal, and it turns out they're dying. We got an ecosphere that's trying to adjust to it, trying to adjust to everything we've been screwing it up with. Try this one. I talk about global crisis concerning about it and temperatures increasing. You ever dealt with a firebug before? An arsonist? We got some people like that happening in Antelope Valley who just love to set fires, either by stupidity or by choice, but mostly stupidity. We've been fighting fires in the Antelope Valley in different sections left and right. Have been burning up acres left and right around here. We're practically draining a lake dry for water resources to put out some of these fires left and right. We had some acres, about 3 to 500 in different sections where brush is and scrub. So I'm wondering how the air quality really is going to be over here tomorrow morning, or actually a little bit later today if we've got any more fires happening there. Am I going to have to start living with a respirator and replacing my filters left and right? Getting a subscription to getting my filters replaced, not to mention the carbon? I'm not joking about this thing. I got a plastic bag over here. It's got two masks ready to rock and roll. And I'm not liking this. I don't bring those damn things out unless I really have to. And I'm going outside, I want to bring it. They'll be pissing people off or making them laugh like crazy, but that's their lungs, not mine. Mine, I want to keep going. I'm an old fart. I'm not a young kid who can deal with this shit anymore. I've already dealt with my smog alerts back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. And during that time, it was just enough to screw you over and get some lifelong breathing issues. Try that one. And well, besides people doing stupid things about saying their own personal issues while trying to show themselves they're a baseball coach and then getting ridiculed at the same damn time. How about a guy working as evidence collector, actually in the evidence locker, and stealing from the evidence locker, getting money off of that damn thing? Yeah, out in Texas, there's this one schmuck doing that. He's already in jail because he's been stealing from different places for years while he works over them. Or, oh, I love this one. I love this one here. Mail carriers who don't give a damn about your lawn or your property. And if you complain, you lose privileges of getting your mail. Try that one. Somewhere out in Detroit, you got a certain post office out there who's going to be who's going to be in contention and dealing with public discourse a great deal, especially when their lawns are getting run over by mail trucks and want to get close to the mailboxes to deliver mail. What, these guys can't get outside the damn truck and walk up a bit, deliver the mail, come right back, and go off to a different section? No, we got to run over your mail here. We got to run over your lawn. Despite the fact that some of the people may be complaining about it and even gone to the press. Good Lord, you can't get it on camera, but they did anyway. So there's mail trucks running over people's property, damaging them left and right, and the mail people are going, ha ha. Gotta watch out for them sneaky mail people at this point. Drives me nuts. But the other thing that also scared the hell out of me, and I was just yelling at the damn cell phone on this one here. St. Louis, there is a small community called Alton. And Alton, which is in the county of St. Louis, Illinois, had a soccer field, but now it's got a major sinkhole in it because of a collapsed mine. And some of these people who've actually placed these new fields on top of areas that seem to be geologically unsafe and unsound, they didn't care to do any research, any soil studies, any geologic hazards, anything concerning about the ground may give way to them one way or another. Did they not think about the damn sinkholes? Did they not care about the sinkholes? But there was a soccer field that actually had a light post sucked down. And now they got a 100-foot hole leading down to the bottom where there's an abandoned mine. Now, from one of the reporters who talked to a witness on it, they were stating that they didn't know, they didn't care. I mean, there was all abandoned mines and we thought it was safe. Probably putting that out of context here. But that's the general idea that we had. That's the context of it, ain't it? I mean, how would you like to have your playing field and your kids are on there, and then suddenly, without warning, a hole opens up, scares the hell out of people, and damn near traps people left and right. It hadn't happened because somebody was catching us on film and seeing a hole open up and a light post going. So now they're having conniption fits over this damn thing, and I hope to God they do. Because if anybody actually did a geological survey and study, checking out to see what type of soil did they have, take a look at what kind of dirt that they actually got, whether or not if it was subject to dissolving. Now, I had taken a couple of classes of geology before. Doesn't make me an expert. Never makes me an expert unless I've got a PhD behind my name. Then I probably would be an expert, and then it's still a guessing game half the time. But as much as my limited knowledge is, you've got some rocks can actually dissolve, or actually minerals dissolve in water. Then you got potential for disaster. Up and down the East Coast, actually up and down the eastern edge of the states, they are on dissolved mineral beds. Limestone being one of them. Limestone made of calcium. Calcium made of bones. Powdered bones can actually get dissolved in the water. If you looked at some of the caverns that are still around, that people actually use for recreation, for exploration. Carlsbad Caverns, I think out in New Mexico, would show an example of what dissolved rocks look like. Stalactites and stalagmites. Tites would be these conical shapes of an arrow going down, and mites would be these conical shapes pointing up. And you would got water dripping minerals deposits on the mites that are pointed up, and you see them being built up, and then the stalactites are just kind of whittling away. But that is minerals being dissolved in water. H2O, two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen, considered a base liquid, and yet acidic enough in a PhD level where it can actually will dissolve certain rocks that are actually able to be dissolved. And when you have a mining area like Illinois is, and this makes me question a lot of things. How did you not miss that an ancient mining tunnel would probably cause collapse? If the geologist said there was no danger and then there was a danger immediately afterwards, something's wrong. We had merely the same situations happening out here in California. We got coastlines being eroded left and right. Has so been for years. But in certain areas, they look like they're structurally stable enough, and people have built homes and communities and shopping centers and landmarks, which are going away, literally. Sliding away, slip sliding away. We get environmentally screwed up in the soils with enough water in it to dissolve minerals. And what do we have? We have slip sliding away on our coastline, on our cliff sides. One place has been out there for about 50 or 60 years, maybe longer than that, as, and they called it a landmark, a beautiful area to have ceremonies. And you would have the ocean, and you have the beautiful cliffside, and everything's fine until you see these damn cracks in the ground getting wider and wider, and then buildings starting to crack, and buildings starting to crumble. Next thing you know, you got the cliffs going, splat. You got a lot of water dissolving the minerals inside the ground. And if there's no way for them to get readjusted or drained out, ah, sometimes I wish I hadn't taken geology, but then again, I'd seen geology happening in my lifetime. I didn't even realize it. Driving through the canyons, oh, being driven through the canyons actually, I'm seeing all this stuff. As a passenger, just looking at the stuff, I'm like, wow. I even seen the side of a cliff that looked like it was pockmarked worse than chicken pox. Rounded stones that had been weathered away, popping off. If there was enough shaking or enough rain going through, that these holes, these pop marks would happen. And it was so damn fascinating. I always wanted to tell the driver, "Stop! I want to take a look at this, get a picture, or get a sample, or shit." It was crazy during those days. I didn't realize it was all geology happening at that time. I had taken a long time ago, and I've said it in my earlier videos, that I had screwed up nearly 2.5 years of college. I came out of high school, and I had taken a couple of geology classes. One, it was a lab professor, and the other one, it was a field geologist. I think I liked the field geologist better because he explained things a lot better. The lab geologist was dealing with the book and technical stuff. I think I had a better grade in the field geology because at least I could see the action happening. We had taken maybe one or two trips, but it was interesting enough to see what was going on. So we saw it. We saw geology right in front of us. So yeah, it makes me wonder how we're dealing with our own life, with our own planet. There's a lot of volcanism, a lot of volcanoes blowing their tops off left and right. Certain mountains that are already blowing their heads off, still having lava building up slowly but surely inside ancient chambers and causing a little earthquakes here and there because of movement in the ground. Gases building up because of chemical changes of the minerals inside the earth that are popping up or that are coming up. Carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide is artificial dioxide. Yeah, that's it. But you would have oxygen sucking out gases coming up and sucking life away. I mean, there would be a creature right there, and then it would collapse suddenly. And people like, geologists would go, "Run!" He would scream it out, "Run! Get out of the area! We don't understand." Thud. That's why oxygen gets sucked out because there's no oxygen being produced coming up from the ground in certain areas. If there's going to be a vent happening, that's what some of the gases would be. And the reason why you see the guys coming out with oxygen tanks, not respirators, oxygen tanks. You need something to breathe. You remember, we're still creatures that depend entirely on oxygen. Gas exchanges from plants, which we're killing off left and right. I had talked to a friend of mine on social media about his situation. Mount St. Helens showing a little signs of waking up a little bit, with little tremors here and there. He's telling me that he's in a different area and he doesn't have to worry about it. Well, I'm like, good, stay in that area. Unless, of course, you're going to see any more action happening in your particular territory. Cascade Mountain ranges have been known for blowing off their top every once in a while. There had been old photographs and documentations of Mount St. Helens and maybe one or two of the Cascade Mountains going popping off. 1980, when the St. Helens popped off, there was ample warning on this one, but there was no way of finding out when exactly. Helens just popped off her side of her face there and just let loose with lava and gas and rocks and mudslides and everything else going crazy. Crystal clear rivers, muddied forever. Landscape, charred, buried. Trees that were alive, stripped dead. It took years for the landscape to recover any natural beauty again. Anybody who was trapped over there was dead. Photographs were the only ones surviving. I remember the stories. Remember hearing about the stories too, even to this day. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening that was still freaking me out left and right. I'm trying to keep the politics out of it. People want to get that much of power going through their heads. Then I figure they're all screwed up in the heads anyway. What the hell? I'm not dealing with it. I'm dealing with more important things, actually, closer to home. I'm dealing with firebugs. Antelope Valley, California. Considered a wedge-shaped area, and we have different sections of the valley that are full of scrub, brush, dried stuff. If we actually had heavy rains, then about 3 or 4 months later, we would have dry material, fresh, ready. And then we would have fire. And you know what happens after fire? After you denuded the ground of all that material that should be holding water in, you now have floodplains ready to go. I come across a story, I think, a couple of days ago, or within the past couple of days, that the Great Plains are now having the issues back in the 1930s. Dust Bowl situation. Good soil, good crop, gone forever. There goes our food supply. Yeah, they worry about the depression, they worry about the inflation, the prices going up. Wait until they see that if we start losing more and more precious land, either due to human activity or inactivity, don't blame me if we happen to get into a resource war over good soil that's blasted to hell. Plant life, screw the damn oil. Water is going to be the most precious commodity around. Distilled water would be gold beyond gold. Having a planet living, there's no price on that. But there's also an understanding that we humans have a way of screwing things up without us realizing it. And once we realize it, shit. We should have all been committed to a galactic insane asylum. Yeah, that's my take this morning. What's your take?